Hello and welcome to Money Talk with Cliff. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you the 7 steps that you can take towards financial freedom. But before I share these steps with you, I have a story to tell you. In 2017 December, we decided to go on a mini vacation. The reason was that I had gotten paid in November, and beginning of January, I got another salary. This was because we were closing at work, and so we had to get paid. So it looked like we had a lot of money. So we went on this mini vacation. We had a lot of fun. We enjoyed, good food. We slept at a lodge. We actually went to Tabausi and climbed it together for the first time. Now, it only became clear as time went on that, we're going to have a problem in January because the money had run out, guys. The money was gone. And so in January, we were desolate, poor, basically, broke, flat broke. We consoled ourselves to say, look, at the end of January, you're getting paid, and so we will be fine. But guess what happened when January ended? No salary. What had happened is that myself and my boss had forgotten to renew my contract. And so this meant I would not be getting paid in January or at the end of January. And so we had to endure, January 2.0. February became the second January for us. And now this is where I started realizing that I'm not doing a very good job handling our finances. We're just not handling our money quite well. And so I went out, looked out for books and watched videos, to learn how to actually go through this personal finance. Now, what I came across is what is called the 7 Baby Steps by Dave Ramsey. And the reason I'm going to, share this with you is that I felt I needed a framework in my life, a structure to say, first, what should I do? And then what next? And then what next? Because it really sometimes feels like we are just, going in circles. You get paid, you spend the money, you wait for the next salary to come, and then you keep doing this over and over. But at the end of the day, you look at your progress and you find that you really haven't done much, right? So these 7 baby steps are quite clear and sequential, right? And one thing that we have to highlight before we get into the steps is that we don't go skipping steps, guys. You have to finish the first step in order for you to move into the next step. Now, let us jump straight into these 7 baby steps. Baby step 1. This is where I recommend that you save 20% of your monthly income as an emergency fund. This is money that will wait for emergencies, guys. And when we speak of emergencies, we mean real emergencies. Let's say, for example, you find yourself having to see the doctor ASAP. That's the money that you'll take from. Let's say you have a car and your tire bursts. Now you have to get a new tire. This is money that you pull from to buy that tire. Real emergencies, guys. Because sometimes you feel like you're craving pizza and now you go and buy pizza with this money because now you feel like it's urgent and it's an emergency. It's not an emergency, guys. Fast food is not an emergency. You have to be very, very real with yourself and serious about your finances. Now, for you to actually save this 20%, what you can do is maybe find a side hustle, some extra income, or sell stuff out that you don't need. Let's say you own a PlayStation and really you want to advance in your life, in your finances. Now, sell it off, take the money or the proceeds from this PlayStation and put it away as an emergency fund. And it has to be kept in a place that is easily accessible so that when you are in an emergency, you don't have to wait for days before you get your money to use, right? But also, it shouldn't be too accessible. Now, what I mean by this is that maybe have another separate account where you put your emergency fund. Do not put your emergency fund in your main transactional account where you get your salary, where you buy your groceries from, where you pay rent from, or where your mortgage or home loan debits from, because you're going to easily use this money if it's in that account. So you have to have a separate account for this. We move on to now baby step 2, where you pay off debt quicker. Why is it important that you pay your debt quicker? Just why, right? Well, you have to pay your debt quicker because God's word says the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. This comes from Proverbs 22:7. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 7. Now, if God says this, guys, if the word of God says do not be a borrower because you're going to be someone's slave, then simply put, as a Christian, that's exactly what you have to do. Avoid debt by all means. Avoid debt by all means. If you feel like debt will accelerate your successes, then of course on the face of things it will look like you have achieved, but you really haven't achieved anything, right? Now, there are 2 ways in which you pay off debt, or 2 methods that you can use. The first, and the one that I prefer, is called the debt snowball, right? In the debt snowball, the essence of this method is you paying off the smallest debt first. You start with a small one and you move on to the bigger ones. And by small, we mean the balance is smaller. If you have a debt for 500 Rand and one for 1,000 Rands and one for 2,000 Rands, obviously you start by paying off the one where you have 500 Rands as your balance. That's where you start. Now, the second method is called the debt avalanche, right? The debt avalanche is the mathematically correct method of paying off debt, right? The reason I'm saying it's mathematically correct is because you pay off your debt in such a way that you're not going to pay a lot in interest fees or in interest, right? But in the snowball, you simply start with the one that has the lowest balance. That may not necessarily be the one with the highest interest rate, right? And so maybe that's one of the cons of the debt snowball. But on the debt avalanche, as much as it is mathematically correct, you sort of get discouraged easily because it's going to take you longer to actually pay off your first debt. So you don't see that motivation as quick as you can. So you can actually feel like you are just paying off and nothing is happening. I think this is what happens to most people, and that's why many people will just give up on paying off debt quicker, and then they just settle for just paying the debt over the period of time that was given to them by their lenders, the banks and whoever you owe money. Now, after you have paid off your debt, you can now move on to baby step number 3, which is a step where you save 3 to 6 months worth of expenses as an emergency fund. Now, this is a much bigger emergency fund, and really after you have put down this amount of money, you can afford to actually relax a bit. But by relaxing, we don't mean that you now go and squander the money and just chow it up. No, but it simply means there isn't much pressure on you now. You can now focus on actually building wealth, right? But now you start first by saving 3 to 6 months of your expenses. And when we speak of expenses, guys, it has to be very clear. We are talking about essentials. Look at how much you spend on your house, right? In terms of paying off your house or rent if you are renting. And then things like food. How much do you spend month to month on food? This is the kind of money that you want to look at and say, okay, this is how much I spend. And also clothing, right? So let's say, for example, you earn 7,000 Rands, and on this 7,000 Rands, about 4,000 Rands account for all these 3 that I talked about. Then you simply make sure that you multiply 4,000 by 6. The amount you get there is the money you have to save as your emergency fund. Once you get to that amount, your emergency fund is complete and you can now move on to step 4. Right? Now, before we start baby step number 4, you have to be aware that baby step 4, 5, and 6 are done at the same time. Now, baby step 4 is where you invest 15% of your income before tax towards retirement, right? So you look at how much you are earning before tax, before deductions of any kind. You calculate that amount, and then you try and find 15% of that amount, right? Now, if you are employed, your employer may be, putting some money towards your retirement already, but check how much your employer, puts aside for you for retirement, and calculate whether that amount of money makes 15% of your income before tax. All right. If it doesn't amount to 15%, then you have to augment from your pocket to make sure that it makes 15%. Now, when you augment, guys, you don't have to take that money to your employer so that they invest it for you. No. If you are in South Africa, what you do is, look out for companies like Easy Equities or platforms like Easy Equities, where you can actually invest in shares, where they have tax-free savings accounts. This is where you can actually invest and you won't get taxed. There are thresholds, of course. For example, you can only put in about 36,000 in a year, and I think per month that amounts to 2,750, if I'm not mistaken. And so you can only put that much amount of money monthly, but in a year it's 36,000 rands, and for your whole lifetime you are only allowed to deposit or put into that account 500,000 rands. That's it. But this will help you a lot, because if you are just augmenting while you already have money being put away by your employer, this makes it a bit easier for you to simply augment. But if if you're not employed, then it means you're going to have to do this all by yourself. And you can actually find accounts called retirement annuities. These also help a lot, and you can also invest in ETFs, exchange traded funds, which we will talk more in detail about as we go further. But if you are in Lesotho, as I know that in my audience some of you come from Lesotho, if you're in Lesotho, there's a company called Stanlib. That's the one company that I'm sure has a few investment vehicles that you guys can use. Things like the money market accounts and such. So you just dive deep and research and find out what kind of accounts they have and where you can actually invest. I'm pretty sure that you may find that Stanlib can give you that platform to actually invest in South African companies, although you are in Lesotho. So just check that out and see what works for you in that regard. You also have to be aware that you do not have to touch your retirement money until you're retired. Please do not go back to withdraw this money because now you feel like you want a fancy car. Don't do that. Do not do that. This money has to stay there until you are retired, and hopefully by the time you retire the money will have accumulated. Compound interest will have worked its magic, as it is said that is the eighth wonder of the world, and those who receive compound interest are doing good, and those who pay it suffer a lot. For baby step 5, this is where you save money towards your kids' university fees or tuition. Now remember, you do this together with baby step 4. This is baby step 5, and then you will also find out what baby step 6 is. Now at baby step 5, it's simple, guys. The same platforms where you invest for your retirement, you can simply invest for your child. In South Africa, you're able to open a tax-free savings account through your child or in your child's name, and you can actually save money in that account in their name for them, so that when they get when the time comes for them to go to university, there's money saved up there. And in this tax-free savings account, you're able to actually invest. You put money into the savings account. That money you invest it in shares. You can invest it in ETFs. You can you invest it, guys, so that it grows. You don't just put it in that account. You're not just going to earn interest by just leaving it in the tax-free savings account. So you have to invest it in something so that it's it grows, and it won't get taxed if it's in a tax-free savings account. And as I mentioned previously, there are some rules governing tax-free savings accounts. That's just how it goes. And now you want to make sure that you secure your kids' future. Guys, you want to make sure that you secure their future. If you don't put money aside for their university, now it's going to be a problem that now you're going to have to find yourself old and having to pay tuition fees. And by the time I'm old, at around 60, 50 maybe, my children will be going to university. And so I won't be wanting to work at that age. That's just what I know. I won't be wanting to work when I'm 65, when I'm 50. I want to find myself not working at that age, but relaxing and enjoying the fruits of my labor. So you have to make sure that right now, when you have the time and strength, you save up money for them. Now, on baby step 6, what you do is pay off your home loan quicker. This is assuming that you bought a house through a loan. If you didn't buy a house through a loan, or you want to build your own house, then it's a different story that we will go through. I will talk about such things later on in the channel or in the following videos, to say which options are actually best and which ones you can actually go for, and how should you go through these options, right? But now, baby step 5, you pay off your house quicker. You simply pay extra into your home loan. If you were paying 5,000 or whatever amount you were paying, you have to find a way to put in extra into that home loan account. If you are able to get some 1,000, 2,000 rands or 3,000 rands, just chuck them into this home loan account, and this will make sure that your payment period decreases. You will finish your home loan quicker this way. All right. Now, if you find yourself at baby step 6, this simply means that you did the previous steps that I talked about quite well, right? Because this is almost the end of the steps. It's where you have actually gotten your act right, and you are very close to financial freedom now. Like, you can actually relax and build wealth. All right. So you have to take all these steps quite seriously, guys. On baby step 7, we talk about building wealth and giving, living your life like no one else, because you've been living your life like no one else before. So now you get to actually live like no one else going further. Because, for example, how many people actually do something of this sort? Of course, maybe they don't follow exactly the baby steps, but how many people do you know that are actually systematic in terms of handling their money? I know just a few people. It's just not a lot of people. And so when you go through the baby steps, you're going to become a weird person, someone who prioritizes important things, who may not feel inclined to wasting money and eating fast food at every turn. You're going to be someone who plans and who budgets and who's very serious about their money. So you're going to be weird. You have to get prepared to get weird. And in this case, weird is good. Actually, in all cases, weird is good. Once you find yourself being like everyone else around you, then you know that there's a problem. You are not to be like everyone else. You have to be unique. You have to be different. You have to be weird, so that later on, you're not going to be weird, but you're going to be wealthy, right? So this weirdism, if I may say, will result in you obtaining wealth later on. And so baby step 7, you continue to invest. Maybe you start businesses. This is where you actually try to build a legacy for your children and their children, your grandchildren. So you start businesses, you start investing heavily, and getting many more returns. If you're someone who wanted to, or who had a fantasy of being a real estate agent or a mogul, this is where you do that. If you wanted to own a chain store, this is where you started. These are the things you do at this point. You live your life at a large scale, and you give a lot. You give a lot because God simply wants us to be giving, right? Because He simply says, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. And so if you can actually get yourself nice things, if you can watch this video and for yourself, you should be able to pass it on to other people. You should be able to share. This is me simply trying to do my giving part. This is my giving part, where I try to share all these golden nuggets with you guys, so that we all move forward. It won't be nice for me to simply have these to myself and not share. So this is me sharing. We give, and God wants us to give, because God does not just bless us for us, right? He blesses us to bless others. We are here to do God's work, and so you are going to have to do God's work. If you want to live a life with peace and joy, you're going to have to give, because if you don't give, you're going to hoard everything, and you're going to feel deserving of everything, and we just are not deserving of everything, guys. It's through God's grace that we acquire these things that we acquire. It's through God's grace that we have jobs that we have, the salaries we earn, and the brains we have, our brilliance, and all these things we get from God. And so we shouldn't think that God gave them to us for us. No, He did not give them to us for us. He gave them to us for others, or to use to help and bless others. And so that's what you will be doing in baby step 7. And so that brings us to the end of the video, guys. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please just click the subscribe button and select or click the bell button, or the notification bell button. And after you do that, there will be some options. Please select all, so that anytime I post, you get notified. And so thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave your comments in the comment section, some feedback on how you feel about these steps. Any questions that you have, you can ask, and I will answer every single one of you. Thank you very much.